Tonight was a great night of boxing. You know, the opening rounds didn't start off the way that I wanted them to. Manny Pacquiao had a lot of momentum from the knockdown. I ended up paying attention to the rounds. By the time we hit the seventh, I was like, damn, we're in the seventh already. The fight just really flew by. As my original trainer said, smart fighters win, dumb fighters lose. There was just some adjustments that I didn't make that I could have made. Obviously, he caught me with my hands down in the first round. You know, I was aware of Manny Pacquiao's springiness. I was aware that I should have done my head movement. But being aware and doing what you need to do are two different things in the ring. So like I always said, I'm not afraid to let it go. If you can beat me, beat me. I was beaten tonight, and that's the sport of boxing, baby. But your boy Keith One Time is here, and I'm not going nowhere, and I'll be back.
How was he different than you thought? Was he faster, and was there any way that he surprised you with what he did in the ring?
Well, he was fast. He was strong. You know, the short steps, you know, everything that Manny Pacquiao always has been, you know, he has a lot of it still left in him. I felt like, you know, I was going to give him a pressing fight. You know, even though he knocked me down, I didn't care. I wanted to be in his face. I felt like he was getting a little bit tired in the later rounds, but he does train hard. You know, he trains hard. He kept his hands up. He's been in so many wars that now he knows what not to do. You know, he knows how to utilize his defense a little better, and that was a little bit surprising to me. I knew going into this fight that he's been the more active fighter than me, and even at the age of 40, that's probably the best thing he had going for him, is the constant activity to keep him staying in shape. You know, I told everybody I'm getting back this year after 2 years, and I just thought that Keith Thurman getting back, being the original Keith Thurman, would be able to walk away with a victory today. You know, I felt like I had a good training camp. I could have had a better output in my numbers to go toe-to-toe with Manny Pacquiao, because, you know, he always brings that the high output. But it was a great fight, man. You know, I feel like I tested him, and I tested myself. I wish that I could have given him more. Like I said, though, the rounds were flying by, and it is what it is, man. This is a sport. You got to lock it in round by round, and the judges, you know, they saw it their way, and he's now the new champion. Congratulations to Manny Pacquiao. It wasn't that bad. It just hit me in the right spot and created a leakage. At the end of the day, I had my nose bleeding and sparring a little bit. So I believe that he just placed it right on the button and reactivated something that I went through in training camp. And I just had to deal with it, you know. I remember when my nose was bleeding against Diego Chavez, and it just, it didn't bother me too much. I just was focused and just trying to put some pressure on him, land some counters. But he was quite conservative and herky-jerky. And, you know, I started to do better later on in the fight. I really thought I was putting some pressure on him, but my numbers just weren't up to par to be victorious tonight.
How conclusive was that in terms of the fight and the round? Because it seemed like you did a pretty good job just to get out of that situation.
There was so much going, and I felt like I was grabbing some momentum back, and in that moment, you know, I knew it was going to be difficult to really get the judges back on my side for the remainder of the championship rounds. My coach, Dan Birmingham, said you got to win every round. I felt like I needed to possibly get a knockdown or get back. You know, I think I ended the 10th kind of back with some trades back to Manny. But, you know, I definitely was obviously hurt in that round. And, I mean, it was a close fight. You know, it really was. That's what boxing's all about. You just never know what's really going to happen. You know, obviously he was well prepared. He was in shape. I tried to push him to his limit, and he came out on top.
Andreas Hale. Keith, question for you. You talk about the time off and the activity that Manny had. If you would have had another couple of fights, do you think that would have made a difference in this fight preparation just by being more active?
Yeah, definitely. We've seen champions in inactivity not favor them, from time to time. But I just thought that, I would be able to do some countering, utilize my jab from the outside and really pressure him in the way that I did. Some of the things that I wanted to do, I was able to do. But ultimately, I just really feel like, in retrospect, that I fell short on the number game. A little bit of the defense due to the knockdown in the first round. He really did capitalize on just springing at me while I was moving backwards. I could have utilized more head movement. I showed when I was juking and jiving, I was confusing Pacquiao pretty well in there. I know I have the skills to be victorious in the ring. But yeah, obviously, 22 months out of the game, Jose Cito Lopez and then Manny Pacquiao, I try to stay active, but, maybe another fight in between would have helped.
Did that really hurt?
It was a good body shot. It reminded me of the Luis Collazo. It was slightly near the solar plex. It was slightly under the rib. It probably caught me in a breathing moment. And, I just wanted to recover from it. I knew he was going to put some pressure on me. I wanted to see if he would walk into anything. But, he's very wise in there. He takes his time. He's patient. I really think that I could have pulled the fight closer to a draw without that body shot, because the later rounds were definitely starting to go my way. But, there's many times in the sport of boxing where one fight changes the course of the outcome. So for me, he started with the knockdown in the first and that body shot there later. And it was hard to convince the judges that I did enough.
Okay, this is going to be the last question for Keith. Right over here.
Okay, Keith, so after the fight you talked about a blessing or a lesson, I believe, and you kind of just touched on it with your ring generalship and your wherewithal, how you're able to recover from those big shots. So where do you see, well, first of all, which one was it, a blessing or a lesson, this fight for you, and then where do you go from here?
Well, I said on the stage that it was a blessing and a lesson. It was a blessing to be here at the MGM Grand, to be forming on my first ever pay-per-view fight, to have such a tremendous fight, even without the outcome coming my way. I promised you guys that this would be one of the most exciting fights of the summer. My 2-year layoff, I truly missed the sport of boxing. You guys have no idea. And just me showing my grit, my wherewithal, and just really trying to make sure that I can put together some of the best fights. Of course, I wanted to win the fight. I fell short, but it was a blessing and a lesson, because we got to do a little bit more. We got to get our numbers back up. I do know that I'm a true champion. Keith One-Time Thurman has always been a true champion. I will be back at the top of the sport of boxing. And, you gotta go with the flow. You gotta take the punches as they come. And you get knocked down, you lift yourself back up. That's what champions do. So like I said, man, we're not going nowhere. We'll be back. And like I promised you guys, Keith One-Time Thurman brings the best fights in the welterweight division, man. Fight me, baby. Fight me.
All right. Thank you very much, Keith. Great performance tonight. And I appreciate everybody coming out.
Tim. Guys.